I'm Les Cameron and I am chairperson of the Golden Valley Food Co-op. The Heinz people have been there for a little over 25 years and started with a very small facility, about 5 to 10 people in fact. The story of those tomato growers is basically that they became focused on delivering to 3 or 4 of those big companies in the area. The Heinz contract was very important to farmers in that area. The farmers were very much affected by the closure, and the feelings I think of most farmers was one of deep frustration. The feeling was that they had been deserted by the company and that there really was almost the end game for many of those farmers. All of the farmers have tried to work with Heinz to keep it going. They knew that their livelihood was very much based on a reducing number of tomato processors. Heinz announced that they were closing and then began to sell off the equipment. The evaporator that was paid for by the farmers went to New Guinea, and other equipment was simply dumped. The evidence we have is pretty much that they did not want to have anyone as opposition to using that site. We started probably a month after the closure was announced to start to form a committee. It was fairly straightforward activity in terms of getting the money together to pay for the Heinz factory. We wrote to a number of people who we knew had some money themselves and may have been interested in investment, and we were quite angry about the fact that this was something which could have stayed in the community's infrastructure but was in fact being destroyed. Our final offer was the $750,000, and from what we understand, the people who did buy it bought it for not much higher than that. We decided to start the co-op probably at the first rally. We ran the rally with more or less an interest in simply raising attention to what was happening in Gagarin and the Golden Valley. A cooperative idea was born on that day. A co-op can be a number of different things. We think our cooperative is a very special one in the sense that it is a community cooperative. In some ways that we're a cooperative which is really a bank. It's a people's bank, and we're asking people to put up their $50 on the basis that they will be contributing not only to Golden Valley solutions but to food security solutions right around the country. Peter Russell Clark, who was one of the initial, probably the food gurus of the 70s and 80s, got involved with us. He saw what was happening in the Golden Valley through some of the news reports that were occurring. He's been along for the whole journey and been a very valuable member of our group. The co-op has achieved, I think, a number of things. I think it has stimulated interest in what we might do as a group of people wanting to protect our own food from paddock to plate. And I guess what we're trying to do is to maintain the faith of a community cooperative. We are going to make sure that the business is successful. What we're going to do now is have a look at the scale and have a look at products that maybe aren't being created anywhere else. We know that we want to make seasonal vegetables without preservatives. We know at the moment that there are apples rotting all over the Golden Valley that should be being processed. We are looking at a different model and a different paradigm. We are trying to get a group of people who say, we want your products and we'll take your products regardless of what they are. So what we're looking at is actually probably a meal replacement arrangement where 150,000 people get fed by us each week. We know we're going to have a flexible site to be able to cook it, so we want to make something which is different. So we're close to announcing that. So we are really saying as much as possible that food security is about you protecting your community and your community's food. We have to be realistic, but we're trying to say actually farmers are very, very important to this community, and we think that every community in the world has got to be able to try and support what's happening with their farmers. We're trying to decide that there should be no government support for this. This is either the people of Australia want something like this or they don't, and so it's a pretty big onus, and so we're trying to say it's one in all in if this is going to work. To be successful, we need to make sure that we maintain the faith, that people actually do see that we're a high integrity organisation working in a different way. We also need probably to be financed as best we can by either out of those $50 donations or those people who are interested in the food industry supporting it through perhaps a donation or a shared way of working. We'd love to see any person who is watching this now go to our website. Certainly they can pay thanks to PayPal through the website. That's saying that you're happy to commit yourself to supporting this program. We will give people a chance to vote on what projects have been recommended to us. We've had a lot of people offer larger amounts. We've actually said to them we would prefer if you actually went back and tried to find that number of members in many ways, because we are trying to build a movement, not necessarily receive money. So we've got the story of a farmer from Deniliquin who offered us $2,000 and was a bit shocked when we said, look, we'd rather have your $50 and understand that we're trying to build an Australian movement. We don't really want to take $2,000 out of your pension fund, generous as you are. So he went off and found 38 other people within the next month and told us that he'd never had more fun in his life from talking about people, about food security, and he'd been able to get that. So he felt chuffed, and I think that's the model we're actually trying to develop. There is no doubt the cooperative will be producing food in May of next year, and it will be working with other local producers and farmers to do something which adds value. So we would like to think that we were helping create a movement which produced good quality food at the lowest price possible. The whole of life starts with food. This is the one that should be treated most seriously. This is the one we want to do well. We think that what we're planning and what we're pushing in the Goulburn Valley is the way to go. So this is a big quest. We know that if we fail in the quest, it's more likely that we will lose more and more of our local farmers and our local production facilities. We're hoping that what we do is we build that responsibility and that we help contribute to a different sort of way of thinking about food. It wasn't always like this. It doesn't have to be like this. Once food was grown and shared, and we can get back to those days, but we can use the new technology and still have time over, which is what we're all aiming for. We'd love you to visit our website, which is www.gvfoodcooperative.com or unpopularview.com.